Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. I'm Will Mitchell, the CEO of Contract Simply, and today we'll be focusing on best practices for reducing risk and improving efficiencies throughout the construction draw process. Process standardization. What we see when working with lenders, each lender has a set of steps that most administrators take when the draw comes in. So they'll get the draw, they'll download it, sometimes they'll print it out, request that inspection report, confirm they have all the documents they need, collect missing documents from the borrower, internal systems, so on and so forth. And while this process is relatively standardized across the industry, every administrator does it a little bit differently. So a lot of institutions we work with, this process isn't actually written down or standardized in a document. And even administrators can vary from month to month. And so each month, whether the checklist is in their head or they go through a slightly different process, there's an opportunity here that you can standardize it not only on the administrator level, but on the institution level that will help process the draw more efficiently for those involved. And this ties into what we see as the biggest kind of frustration with borrowers is that there's a discrepancy on the time that it takes for a draw to be processed. So if I'm the borrower and I send over my draw request, I believe on average it takes about 10 days for it to get returned. Where if I'm a lender, I say it takes about 6 days. And the difference of this 4 days from the surveys that we've done is primarily the result of a back and forth period in which the contractor, the borrower, and the lender are going back and forth on the documents that are missing from the draw. So the borrower thinks they've submitted the draw, but it's not until 4 days later where the lender believes that the draw has been processed. And so it made me think of these kitties. And they're just going back and forth, and the documents are going back and forth. And so the easiest way to solve this small back and forth problem is to set up an approval rubric. Have a set of checks that some of the lenders we work with have already created this, and that this is something that each one of their administrators goes through each month. They check off on each of the items, and they confirm that everything has been coordinated to an extent that allows for the borrower to know what to send over. And that goes to the big kind of piece of advice for step one here, is just share the checklist with the borrower. A lot of the checklists, if they do exist, the lender isn't sharing it with the borrower, so the borrower is unclear as to exactly what they're going to be reviewed against each month. And so we suggest including the approval rubric directly on the disbursement request. And so we'll have a template we can share with you after the webinar that just says, hey, every time the borrower submits their disbursement request, that within it they have a series of checks that they can go through and say, hey, yes, I have all the documentation that I need, and that here it is. They can either reference page numbers or other sorts of information to make it as easy as possible for them to prevent that back and forth process in the draw request, which, as we said, can save up to 4 days in that 10-day review process we see.